how involved should others in our family or maybe even in our community, like our small group or our Pure Desire group, how involved should they be in our goal setting? And how does this help make our goals more attainable if others are involved?
Well, as we all know, not everyone in our family or community is equipped to lend support.
Yeah.
For
It
sure.
just is, yeah,
Yeah.
the dynamic of families. But to achieve a goal usually requires more than just self. And from others, we can acquire encouragement, accountability, sometimes competition, collaboration. Sometimes sharing a goal is much sweeter when it's shared with someone we care for. So I'm a firm believer that having a supportive team is vital to constructing and achieving our goals. I, I don't feel like we can go through life in a vacuum. It really feels like we need to welcome others in.
Here's a good example of a situation where not a goal that I had thought of, but a goal that my wife had for me, which was really helpful. Just recently, Amy and I had a tough conversation about, she identified how nitpicky I can be with my kids. And she identified that is a wedge that gets in between the intimacy we can have. She doesn't feel close to me. She doesn't want to be, connected to me. She wants to pull away. And so when I heard that, you better believe that I started setting a goal around not being nitpicky with my kids. And so that's something that I have the support from someone else, but also that encouragement. And it's not like she, like threw me on the floor and rebuked me in front of our children, but it was something where she called me on it. And I wouldn't have seen that. Like, I knew maybe that we weren't as close and that there were some things I could work on, but I don't know if I would have said that was the thing. And so other people, and this is not just your spouse, could be anybody that's close to you in your community, but I mean, specifically your spouse can see things often. They'll see things that you don't see and will call it out. And so I feel like that's why you have to have people to some degree involved with goal setting, because they could be like, look, you don't have what it takes to do that because look at your life right now. You don't have that space. Or confirmation, absolutely, you should do that. I see how that would bring value to your life. So yeah, 100% they should be involved.
Well, and the reality is, particular to our podcast and the community that is most engaged with it, if we're a struggler or a betrayed spouse, that leads to blind spots in our lives. If we've been struggling with addictive type behavior, with unwanted sexual activity, that level of secrecy, selfishness, the patterns that we've been trapped in, even if those are now a year or two or more in the rearview mirror, thank God for that. But there are patterns that we got stuck in because of blind spots. And for us to just think I can self-manage my goals and what I need is maybe a little bit of arrogance, or at a minimum foolishness, to just think I've got this figured out. And so in humility, as we walk in recovery, we're learning to trust other people. We're learning to go to them. We're learning to run past them and say, hey, you know me pretty well. What do you feel would be appropriate things for me to be working on right now in my journey that would be helpful to my family, to myself? And at the same token, in a very different way, obviously, a betrayed spouse. Trauma creates blind spots. Trauma creates kind of this blurred vision of all I can see sometimes is my safety. And if you've been in that mode for a while, I mean, hopefully you're making progress and you're finding safety, but it's maybe difficult for you to really open up kind of those blinders that have kept you focused on what you need for safety, and appropriately so, but to look more holistically at, man, what might I need for health or growth or fun?
Yeah.
And so to be able, as a traumatized or betrayed spouse, say to your group or people that you really feel safe with, what do you think I need? And you might be surprised as they share, like, man, you just really need to find something you get to do by yourself that you enjoy as a hobby, because it seems like all you've ever done is your kids and your spouse and what they're into. Like, what do you love to do? Go find out. And that could be actually very freeing to have someone else speak into your life about an area that you haven't been able to see because you're so wrapped up in the pain or the way you've been doing life. So I think the nature of recovery teaches us I don't want to do it alone. We all have blind spots, and that's not because there's something wrong with me. It's because that's part of our human experience. And so engaging with others that we know and trust and love, and hopefully it's your spouse, but if your spouse and you are in the midst of some of your recovery journey that they're not totally a safe person for you right now, that's okay. Now you may need to still manage, how can my goals interact with the needs of our family? But if you don't specifically ask them for input because of where you're at, that's okay. But I hope there are safe people you could go to and say, hey, what do you see? What do you know? What do you think I should work on this year? And the other thing that does, I think all of us get caught up in our same old goals. Like, well, every year I'm planning to lose 10 pounds. Every year I'm going to read more books. Every year I'm going to, whatever the goal is, like, oh, it's been this goal pretty much for the last 14 years. Where others might have a perspective to get you into some new areas to go, oh, I'd never really thought about that. And that could be healthy for all of us.